What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Crossover Commerce. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is my literal corner of the internet where I bring the best and brightest of the Amazon and e-commerce space. I say literal because I'm here in a corner of an office in my studio at home. So that's where this podcast kind of generated from, and that's the where I like to have people on, like our guests today. We have people on who are experts in the Amazon and e-commerce space, experts who have people who've walked the walk and talked the talk. What you're going to learn from every episode, again, this is episode 220 of our beautiful podcast that we started way back in 2020, or end of 2020, I should say. We did this to give an educational component of what's going on in the Amazon and e-commerce world, give a unbiased perspective, but just learn a little bit more from those people who've done those great things in the Amazon and e-commerce world. So if you're a beginner seller or if you're an expert that's looking to potentially grow internationally, this is the podcast for you. I say expert, person who's looking to build a brand and really take on a new walk of life and in a new business world. So that's why this podcast exists. And believe it or not, it's interactive. So if you're watching us live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, feel free to send in your questions to myself or our guest. As always, you can just submit those in the comment section. We see those. You just throw them up on the screen and we'll make sure we can answer any applicable questions. Or if you just want to say hi, that's always nice too. So if you're listening to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, give us a thumbs up, let us know you're listening, and answer or send us off your questions if you catch us live. Or on the flip side, if you don't catch us live, watch the replay later on, whether you're on the West Coast or somewhere else around the world. Just tag us and we'll make sure that we get your questions answered. But as always, every episode of Crossover Commerce is presented by PingPong Payments. Who's PingPong Payments? Well, we are a global cross-border payments solution helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money, whether that be paying out suppliers and manufacturers. You're working in Chinese New Year, is just wrapping up, so you might be negotiating with your supplier manufacturer overseas, or you're looking to bring on new product and launch new products this year in 2022. If you're looking to do that, it's actually more simple, simplistic, and you save time, money, and effort when you use a solution like PingPong Payments by paying out in localized currency. You get your money to them quicker, it's safer, and it's a lot more cost effective. So with that being said, it's free to sign up. Just go to usa.pingpongx.com/podcast for all of our favorite episodes, as well as signing up for free. Go ahead and check it out today. That being said, just kind of recapping real quick, this is episode 220. So every episode on here, we bring on a fantastic number of guests. We teased a little bit that there was going to be two people on today. Unfortunately, one of our guests, Sebastien, he just had some internet connectivity issues. So we have to have him on the sideline today. But we have our original guest here as well. He is the CEO, he's the co-founder of the business Accel Club. If you haven't heard of them, they're one of the emerging brand acquirers, aka aggregators in the space, located from different parts of the world. I've talked to their team before in different parts, such as Russia. The co-founder Nick is actually going to be joining us today from Amsterdam. So that being said, a global e-commerce world is truly the case here today, and we're going to be talking about what we've called this episode, how to win market share and deal with the current e-commerce challenges. And who better to do that than their co-founder, like I said, Nick of Accel Club. Nick, thank you so much for hopping on Crossover Commerce.
Yeah, hi Ryan. It's really a pleasure to be here and to share ideas, thoughts, and our expertise.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for hopping on today. No, I was getting to know you a little bit about you pre-show, but I just want to kind of open up the proverbial floor for you, if you will. If no one's have heard of you, which you seem to have a lot of followers and a lot of thought leadership going around LinkedIn and a lot of other channels. You've done a lot of great businesses and have exited your own businesses, but I'm just kind of curious to hear from you. What's that background for you?
Yeah, so in terms of background, it was, I would say, like pretty straightforward. So I was very good at math and physics at school. Actually winning several international competition in that. So that's why I joined the technology university, have my major in physics. But after that, it's for some part of the academic background, like guys like joined like BCG in Moscow office, worked like for different industries, for different like great like strategy and operational projects. And after that, just wanted to explore more like startup world, startup space, and join like as the managing director, one of the biggest transportation marketplace in Eastern Europe. And yeah, after like 4 years, we sold that to French unicorn BlaBlaCar. They were doing like carpooling, and after that like, successful integration, I just like wanted to start something new, and this is where I've like we joined forces with my current co-founder Max, who has also like great background in e-commerce space. Was the founder of a food delivery company, and then it became like one of the biggest food delivery company in Eastern Europe. And right now it's like valued at to that point to that $5 billion. So yeah, maybe join our forces and start like Accel Club. In terms like why this story, why Amazon, all that stuff, just maybe a little bit more about this. We do believe that like every space that is getting more and more mature, it's just like by default, like the market share of the systematic players will increase. And this is what we believe, yeah, and this is like what our bet is. We don't believe that we are the best like M&A guy in the world. We are the best like investment bankers, or we don't believe that we are the best like Amazon like seller right now. But what we believe that we are really great like at building systematic players, meaning like great teams, great tools, great processes to succeed in some markets. And we do believe that e-commerce today, with all the challenges and all the opportunities, is the space where the market share of systematic player is really low. And I don't, there was time then in the US there was like around dozens, thousands of banks, yeah. But right now we don't have that like even like 2 or 3, 4, 5,000 banks like. So it's usually as the industry is getting more and more mature, the market share of the systematic players is growing. So this way we believe that we are playing. Definitely, we do believe that small and mid-sized like entrepreneurs and sellers, they will be there, but they're just like market share will decrease or like in 5, 10 years from now. So yeah, so that's why we chose this space. We have like that deep expertise in Amazon previously. But as I said, like this is not what we're playing here. We do believe that we can be more than capable to build like great team, great processes, great tools to really succeed in this very challenging, but from one perspective, from the other perspective, very exciting space.
No, that's amazing. Well, what I think so. You said most of the team there has operated or ran or even exited their own businesses. Is that correct? Or a lot of people have just operated their own brands under their own guise. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
talking about like our top team, about our like executives, yeah.
Yes.
So it's more about like me and Max, yeah, like we were previously like exiting some businesses, but the other part of the team, they were like more the part of the some tech startups. So they were like building like great tools and big teams for like food delivery or for like for example some other like e-commerce businesses. So they were like in this roles. So yes, so like we have like that's like just like there is some guys like our competitors or like the other aggregators, yeah, they saying that they are buying cash flows, but what we believe that we are buying like 24/7 days like job, yeah. So and we like believe that we are more like operator, we're not like investment fund. And this is like what I would say like different ours, and what like our main expertise is that our top team and our even like our VP of acquisition, this is the guy who were in BCG also, but he also were like he also was like the COO for the other like startup. So he also has like this operational background, which is very important when you're like buying businesses to better understand what is like what's going on around. Yeah, so it's not just like IRR or some like cash flows or whatever. It's more about like, to feel the operations behind that e-commerce business. So I'd say
So
that, yeah, like we have that muscle in operations in our top team in our like the rest of the team. Yeah.
right, that makes sense. So you guys are kind of banking on that expertise on the background, and that's just is it really focused on So is Accel Club, so that this iteration, obviously you saw there's a lot of competition. Clearly, everyone
Yeah,
tells like there's like 80, 90, maybe even 100 businesses that are quote unquote under this model, if you will. Um, what makes it so? I guess like in that
yeah,
regards, what is going to be that distinguishing factor? Is it going to, besides operations, is it going to be predominantly Amazon businesses? Or are you looking more D2C? What is that
yeah,
really
yeah.
big focus for you guys? Are you staying agnostic category wise? Are you really honing in? What kind of explain for people who are listening today what that
Yeah.
breakdown is for you?
Yeah, so I would say like in this regard, in terms of criteria and our focus, we are pretty like straightforward. So we're definitely looking for, first of all, like Amazon brands. So like 60-70% of revenue should be like from Amazon. Either it's like North America or Europe. We don't care that much about that. But yeah, but it's like 60-70% should be from Amazon. We're more than happy if there is like any D2C or Chewy or eBay or whatever to also like to buy that portion of the business. And but for example, for D2C, we will not like offer some like, let's say, D2C multipliers. Yeah, so it will be like assessed also as the part of the overall cash flow that Amazon has. In terms of like the category, definitely here like, we have our own like understanding. So we are trying to avoid like fully supplements. Why? Because like FTC, FDA, like also like doing something there. Yeah, this is the first one. The second one, due to like really high margins, the like let's say the penetration of black hat tactics are really high there. So this is why we just like believe that we would like to stay like from that space like for a while. And also we do understand that we are buying here some kind of like great position, like they are organic or great CTRs and conversion rates, which means like we should like be more cautious with the products which have like shorter life cycle. So for example, we are not doing any like fast fashion because we understand that to be successful there, you need much deeper product expertise. The same is with, for example, heavily R&D products like electronics, like headphones or whatever. So you also need to be like much more like engineer, like you have more engineers in the team, or need to better understand like R&D there, to be successful there. So this is why we try to stay away from like the supplements space, heavily R&D products, and also fast fashion. Everything else we really like. What we love is like art supply, pet supply, home and kitchen, sports and outdoors. This is like our four like main priority categories, and like 80% of our current brands are in these categories. And yeah, so this is what we like.
So where it is that's great to understand. And how many brands are we operating today as Axel Club? Is it something that you tout publicly, or is that something that
Yeah,
you
so
keep in
in
house?
terms of like number of brands, we're not disclosing that, and I don't believe that it's like a real like a measure because it's like you have we're buying like some brands were like 3 million in revenue, some of them like at 20 million in revenue, so it's like not compared.
Sure.
But I'm like to share you saying that the first one we are operating there like 1,300 products. So this is like our current portfolio. Like 75-80% of sales like are in the US, and 15 like in so like there's like I guess like 8 to 10 in Canada, and the rest like is in Europe, mainly like UK and Germany. And in terms of like the overall like revenue, yeah, it's closer to 100 million. So this is where we are right now.
Wow. Well, that brings up a great point, Nick. Do you feel that a lot of the statistics that get thrown out in the space, whether it be, hey, how many brands do either you run or operate, or any business might run or operate, is that misleading in terms of the quantity metrics of, hey, like you mentioned before, one brand might only operate
Yeah.
500,000 in revenue, but one brand might also do 20 million in revenue. So
Mhm.
there's no really great comparison in terms of what one brand operating revenue
Yeah,
truly
yeah.
represents.
Just like we see some of our competitors, they buying a lot of brands which has like, let's say, 1 million in revenue. And like we're not looking at that because we don't believe that our overheads will like repay that. So we have like usually after the acquisition from day one, there's like at least like 4 people that working with the brand on our side, and we need to pay like salaries, all of that stuff. And when you buy a brand, you usually like base it on SD or EBITDA, as we call that,
Mhm.
which is not including this like 4 or 5 people. And which means, like, for example, if you bought like some brand, it has, for example, 1 million in revenue, and there's like 200K like in SD or EBITDA, as we call that, and you put like 100 like K in overheads. It's mean you at least need to grow twice to be at that EBITDA that you bought that. Yeah, this is the first one. So and then you also would like to grow, because like you need business to grow. So it just put much more pressure for the smaller brands, to grow because of overheads. And that's why we're not like looking at the brands like with 1 million. We're more looking like at least like 2.5, 3 million in revenue per year. And our sweet spot is like around 5 to 10 million. This is like what brands we would like, because they have like a lot of potential to grow from one perspective. From the other, there's like enough traction already to say that it's successful, and you can put really a good team there that you can really pay greatly and like to push the business further. And in terms of like, but there is like some our competitors that are doing like only like 20, 50 million deals. So they even not like buying like 5 million or 2 million brands like in annual revenue. So I do believe that even though you said that there's like around 80 or 90 different players, I'm like, every time I speak to someone, we so different in our approaches, we so different, like speaking about operations, about like criteria, about like targets. And it's like, I do believe that the first what any seller who would like to sell their business should ask themselves, which of these aggregators are really good fit. Yeah, so this is like a good question. And in terms like just saying that you said like there's competition, just yeah, I'm like, when we're looking at the market, the macro net numbers, there is like around 390 billion dollars like GMV for third-party sellers last year. And we are assessing that the worth of the sellers that all these aggregators could buy is around, let's say, 80, 85 billion. And it's growing because each year, maybe you've seen like on the Marketplace Pulse, the article that the number of sellers who are selling like at least at 1 million per year doubled for the last 3 years, which means if you just like take mathematically, that aggregators are not buying that fast like brands that they are coming to the market. So the market is growing faster than the aggregators just like buying brands. Yeah, which means like there is like definitely there's competition for great brands, but there is like not that let's say like limited supply of the great brands. Yeah, because if you're comparing like 14 billion that were invested in the space to 80 billion of this like worth of brands, it's definitely significant like portion, but it's not even a half of what we all can buy on the market. So this is why I'm saying that definitely we see some competition, but it's not that radical or aggressive that one can believe when they see that 14 billion just like came to the market, but it's like 80 billion or at least like 100 billion market. So it's significant numbers in absolute numbers, but it's not like that significant comparing to the whole market.
So how are you measuring market share? I guess in that capacity, are you measuring it per category, or are you measuring it per just total GMV that like per country? How are you guys at Team Accel? How are you measuring it?
When we operate in that, like we are just like we do understand that we are not the company that generate traffic. We're more working with the traffic that is on Amazon, which means we definitely need to make sure that we understand our market share and we're tracking that, because this is what matters. Because if tomorrow we have like, let's say, 2 times lower sales in absolute numbers, but it's the same market share that we had like 2 weeks ago, then it's okay. But if, for example, we grew like for like 40%, but the market grew like for 80%, which means we are losing our market share. It's really bad. So this is why we definitely we are looking at the absolute numbers, but we're tracking market share, and we're tracking market share in the product niches. So there's like we have like brands which has a lot of like substitution products. Yeah, so we need to make sure that there's a situation then one of our product is just like getting better, and the other is just losing the market share. So we just need to make sure that we take the product niche and understand how, let's say, all this like whatever, let's say 6 or 7 or 8 ASINs that are relevant to this product niche are performing all together. So what is our market share in this product niche? Yeah. So for some brands, for some products, it could be like only one ASIN, but like for our, I would say like half a portfolio, there's like at least 2, 3, 5 ASINs that are targeting the same product niche, and we are measuring the total market share of this like 5, 6, 7 ASINs comparing to the market.
Gotcha. So what is that goal for you? If that is that goal going to change depending on, just because there's so much ebb and flow with new product iterations, new products coming to market and whatnot, is there holistically a generic category, or you said it's more on an ASIN level? Is there more of a generalized metric that you're trying to achieve though? Is that I just want to make sure that everyone's understanding that.
Yeah, yeah. Just like from our perspective, like we're not like in, let's say definitely when we started this business, we there was this like idea that maybe it's better to focus on like niches that has like a very unique products, yeah,
Sure.
and buying like brands that have unique products. But end of the day, we just understand that 90% of Amazon, or even like 95% of Amazon like products, they are very generic. And in this business, like private label business, what really matters, like two factors. The first one is cost of goods sold. You just need to make sure that every week you're working on that it's like you keeping that low, because otherwise you just like become like really like you have a competitive disadvantage. You're not competitive. And from the other perspective, you need to make sure that you have trust, we call this like inside, or it's like conversion rates and CTRs, because like everything is connected to CTRs and conversion rates, performance marketing, organic, whatever. So from our perspective, like this market share, what we're trying to measure, this like product niche, is like we need to make sure that in this like demand that is coming to Amazon and people wanting something, with this like group of products, like 6 or 7 ASINs, we are targeting the most like we have like great CTR in conversion rates. So and like every time we see the boost, we do understand that okay, some of the ASINs they just like better performing in organic, which means we have like better CRs or conversion rates. Or for example, if we negotiate better prices or have some more margins on the COGS side, we invested that in performance marketing, so we get more paid traffic, and we just like have more market share. So, and for us, it's very important to make sure that this market share will not like growing at any cost. So how it compare it to our like margin, yeah. So definitely like with less margin, you can have more like bigger market share, and with higher margin, you can have like less market share. So we also try to find the optimum for us where we have like at least some healthy margins, and we're pushing our market share the most. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. What so in your regards, I kind of always ask this question, and a lot of people might have this thought as well. Why not take these great minds and build out your own kind of brand ecosystem and launch these products or competing
Yeah.
ones or ones
Yeah.
that are going to penetrate the market? Why wouldn't a company do that instead of purchasing and then
Right, yeah.
having to be on the hook for millions of dollars and then growing it from there? Why not organically do that?
Yeah, yeah, like a very good question. Like we asked that ourselves like before we started this business, and for us, like the answer was very like straightforward. We would like to be and have scale in like 1 or 2 years. We wouldn't like to have scale in 5 or 10 years. So we
Right.
definitely understand that we can like launch a lot, etc. But there's like two questions. The first one: do you have expertise and process and tools to launch great products? And the second one, in which time you would like to have scale to really have opportunity to invest in all the infrastructure. And for us, the answer was very simple. And we just okay, buy and like first of all, like just which is really understand that we don't believe that any aggregator who will not like be able to launch new products will be like alive in 2 or 3 years. So we didn't believe that like just buying brands is there's like any end game. Yeah, so we don't believe in that. So we do believe that every aggregator will try to launch brand, and only that who will be successful in this, they will really survive. Because M&A is good, but the mix of M&A and launching, new products, there should be like some healthy mix. Why? Because like when we look at the sellers, we see that it's very easy to see that in their P&L that 30, 40, 50% of that growth are coming from new products, which means if we are not launching new products, we are dead, like in 2, 3, 4 years. So I mean, for us, it's just obvious that we will do that. The question whether we would like to do that from scratch or having some scale, having some like resources, already having some brands, having some team in place, and then based on that, using that as a launch pad to launch like some great new products in new niches in which we believe like also there will be like some trends, some demand there. So I mean, yeah. So the answer to your question is like scale and like timing. Yeah, so like having opportunity to do that faster.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people, we've had, for example, Elevate Brands on, for example, and I think they put it really well as saying, "Hey, you're almost paying for the people to start the process quicker. You're taking
Yeah.
it over, and you can optimize, and that's what a lot of companies, maybe like an Accel Club, is going to be doing, is to accelerate it once it's become viable in the market. So launching the iterations and things like that, how often, and I'm curious from your perspective, how long, when you're acquiring brands or businesses, how long do you think products are viable on a market as is once you acquire them? Is there
Yeah,
an
if you exclude like fast fashion, heavily R&D products and supplements, I do believe that it's more about like from 3 to 6 years, like in on average. There is something that will be like there even for 7, 8 years. There will be something that will be like less like 1, 2 year, but on average, I guess the distribution will be around like 4, 5, 6 years. So it's like what we believe.
that's on launch product to it's probably retiring of the product and its discontinuation? That's what you're thinking of. Once it's launched, it's got to be 3 to 6 years or so. Is that
I'm just I'm not talking about like when it's starting generating some significant revenue, like at least
gotcha.
100 whatever K, and to the level when it will be less than 20% at the peak. Yeah, so
Gotcha.
this plateau, or it's not like plateau, it's just like this. Yeah, it's like growing, then like decreasing. So it's around like we do believe that from 3 to 6 years. So this like we have like analytics, we like parse like all Amazon, just like trying to also like figure out that, like building like cohorts. And what we see right now, it's like from 3 to 6 years. It was this like plateau around like fourth and fifth years. Yeah.
Right. So the goal in mind for Accel Club is to take that growth aspect and to really make it. Is it going to be more brand focused and forward, or is it more the operation side that you guys feel like is going to be leading the way for you guys?
Yeah, there's like there's two types of products that we are buying. Yeah, I do believe that on the market is the same. This is the structure of the market. There's like commodity type, and there is like more brandy stuff. And we like both because with commodity, we do understand that as far as we are in the top on the Amazon, we are growing with the market. The more market is growing, we more growing. But you can't do like TikTok or you can't do like external traffic or whatever because it just doesn't make any sense from economic perspective. But there's like also like I said, like branding stuff, and we also like have a little brand, a little like products that are actually brands because there's like this emotional stuff, and there's like you can do something not only about price but also about like perception, about marketing side of the product. So I mean, we're working with both, and we didn't believe that in let's say in e-commerce and in the future e-commerce there would be like that big split between commodities and brand stuff. I do believe that every like systematic player or aggregator or like just organic seller, they will have like both and commodity type products and also brand type products. What we need to make sure that we are not investing in branding for the commodity products because it's just like it's definitely like negative return on investment, yeah. And otherwise, yeah. So we're not treating like branding stuff as the commodity because while we will be like pushing on Amazon, the other guys with the same product will go to TikTok or to other media and they will get traffic because they do understand that this is something that you can have traffic there and not here. So it's for us, it's more about like, okay, to be really, really clear about like whether this product is like commodity type or brand, and then it has like a different strategy inside us, inside our processes and team. But I'm like, we're not saying that okay, we're only like brand play or we're only like commodity play. I mean, we do understand that it has like its pluses and minuses there and here. So yeah.
What's the challenges, Nick, that no one's talking about in the aggregator world right now? Like, what are the major challenges that keep you up at night, or have those, if anything truly happens in
Yeah.
this category, we're in big trouble? Like, what is that big thing that no one's talking about right now?
There's like I would say like definitely we as an aggregator, first of all, we are the seller. So I do believe that we're encountering all the same problems that and issues that the other sellers are encountering, whether it's like a small or big or medium. And like everyone knows about supply chain, everyone knows about everything about like advertising on Amazon. Yeah, so just like expensive, etc. For us, maybe something that more interesting about like our operations is just like to give more insight about our work. The big challenge is how to deal with all this like thousands of SKUs. Because when you're a small team with an entrepreneur like as a lead, definitely you can pay a lot of attention to different details. Definitely you haven't like that access to the funding that we have. Definitely you have like access to the great like expertise you can like afford paying some like data scientists or all the other stuff. Yeah, but like so like our big plus is that we are good like in, let's say like, we're more than happy to invest in China office to have like our grounds like over there in China talking to supply chain. Also, like we're more than happy to invest. For example, we have like a team of 12 data scientists, and we are working with the data a lot. So we work with API integration, all that stuff. And definitely small and mid-sized sellers, they're not investing in that. So this is like our pluses. But what is our minuses and what our challenges is how to make sure that we are paying that much attention to each detail as like that entrepreneurs whom we bought these brands were paid. Yeah. And this is very, very interesting question because like on the operational side, it's plus minus clear. Yeah. I mean, like you need to have like tools, you need to have like some processes and just go, you know. But from the creative side, like how to scale when you have these thousands of SKUs, how to make sure that your designers, your like brand managers, your like your creativity, your feeling, your touch with the audience, with you have that like clear understanding what people are writing you in the reviews. Yeah, if you're the founder, like if you're a small seller, you read that reviews by yourself. I do. I guess like you do understand that I'm not reading like even like half of those reviews. I don't even like I haven't seen them. So you need to make sure that your team at that scale with this thousands of SKUs, they have that like you know it's like they have that sense and they pay attention in terms of like creativity. And you can like I said like it's much easier to scale operation excellence, but it's much harder for us, for example, to scale that creativity inside. Yeah, to working with all the aspects of the product, like packaging, like marketing messages, like all the details, the tiny features in the products, to make sure that we also like at that scale of thousands of SKUs, we can deliver that. So this is like our, I would say, the main challenge for us. Yeah.
Right. What's going to be what's your own personal goal? What do you want to see in 2022? What's going to feel good to you that you know that you've achieved everything
Yeah.
you set out to do this year? Like what's that roadmap for you?
It's like it's very very here very pragmatic. Yeah, so we have like our targets in terms of like revenue, like in terms of like profits, in terms of like the overall like market shares in different niches. So definitely it would be like really I'd be happy and really great if we achieve that. But I'm like it's just like the let's say outcome, yeah. But the real like what we were working is to have like the team processes and tools to really achieve that goals. So for me, it's like where we are focusing is to how to build a team that can work with this like everyday like very dynamic like and everyday changing environment. Yeah, and what tools we need to have inside I mean the software or like some process or whatever to make sure that we can like embrace and we can work with the changes happening. So for example, I know like Amazon changed like, and right now you need to ship your products in 30 days when you're creating the shipments. Yeah. Previously it was like 90 days. So right now it's like all the logistics, all your like let's say direct transportation from China to Amazon warehouses for a lot of like brands, for a lot of other brands, it's just broken. You need to have like the like 3PL, all of that stuff. So like, and it's like, I do believe that it will even be changing more in like e-commerce space. Yeah, and like we definitely seen like a lot of like changes for the past 5 years, but I do believe that we expecting like even more changes, and you need to make sure that you have like that like agile team and agile mind, and you are like really iterating with the reality, understanding it better, not just trying to deny that, and like how to in this like particular new environment, how to win the market share, how to win margins. Yeah, so this is very important for us. And it is like I do believe that Amazon is changing a lot. Yeah, we've seen that all. And in terms of like the I do believe that also like the relationship between Amazon and sellers are also evolving. And for us, it's also very important to better understand what the strategic understanding of Amazon for the sellers, because I'm like definitely trying right now squeezing more and more from ads. But there's also like some kind of like, let's say, healthy margins for sellers to invest in this business. And I know like a lot of like businesses were really right now like stressful. They are distressed assets, and they would like to invest more in this business, and they just like switching the like they have some money they earned like previously on Amazon, and they just like switching to, I don't know, like to blockchain, to Bitcoin, to whatever, because like Amazon just not that sexy anymore. Yeah. So, and this is what we see in the space, and trying to, I do believe that Amazon also like very looking at, and they really like depend on like this third party sellers community. And we do believe that they're trying to also like find the balance between what's the healthy like performance marketing spend should be for the seller, what the health like 3PL, whatever. Because if you squeeze in like third party seller to do like everything through 3PL, and you like having that expensive marketing, I'm like, I don't believe, definitely believe that like, it's like 30-40% of current sellers, they will not invest more in the business, because it's just like having that much like ROI. Yeah. And also like the cost of like people is increasing. So to find a great PPC manager, supply chain manager, or any other is also like increasing. So like all your overheads is growing. So I do believe that in terms of like the goals, we are very set up, but under that, more about like people, tools, and processes. But just like the overall environment, overall like e-commerce space, we more. I would be happy to see more and understand more strategic how the ecosystem will work. Yeah. So what the margins is healthy, how Amazon will structure that, because I mean everyone knows that like rebates and all that stuff are like fully forbidden. Yeah. And it's even more clear after like November previous year. So there's not that many tools to launch new products. So like what's right now is happening, that maybe like the Vine program right now has like not 30 reviews but 60 reviews. So Amazon is also trying not to like just like squeezing like ads revenue, but also give us new like tools. And so we also like trying to better have like what's the what next step like strategically for us working with Amazon.
That makes sense. Well, if people wanted to learn more, or if they want to kind of converse with you, Nick, and the team over there at Accel Club, what's the best way to do that, or reach out to you guys?
Yeah, we have like a great website, Accel.club, or you can like reach out to me like in LinkedIn or in Facebook, or just like wrote to our email, like business or acquisition at excelclub.pro. So yeah.
Yeah, well, make sure we put that in the comment section too. Just in the parting here too, is there what's one thing that surprised you most this past year? I guess I'm curious for you, and I call it the world of a thousand small paper cuts, where Amazon threw all these changes at you. What was the biggest thing that surprised you the most in 2021 that you hopefully will be able to overcome this year?
In terms of like yeah, like I would say like definitely like my own focus was very much connected to the talking to sellers. So I wouldn't say like about the business and like the Amazon itself. I would say like I really was surprised with the like different communities that are selling Amazon. So it was like really like great to learn that, to connect with different people like in all across the world, and how like that's yeah, like what different people like selling on Amazon, what different strategies they have, what different like beliefs, how it works they have. So just so like different, just like amused me, because from one perspective, for a lot of people, and like for some guys, like I'm from academic background, so I have a lot of guys who are in Princeton, in like in different like great institutes all across the world. And like e-commerce looks like very simple and straightforward business, yeah. But when you're talking to different like sellers, and I talked like maybe to 400 or 500 sellers, I just was very amused like how people have different thinking about that, how different like strategies they have. So yeah, I was like very amused with that. So yeah.
It's definitely a market where you have to be creative and to stand
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's not straightforward as you said, and I think that kind of puts
Mhm.
the cherry on top of what we were talking about today. Is you have to be creative in the notion that you can have a great business, but you have to be creative in order to also stand out and
Yeah.
thrive in this world. So Nick, thank you so much. I always tell people if you make it through a show with me, you're now becoming a friend of the podcast. So now I consider you a friend of the podcast. You're more than welcome to come back on Crossover Commerce anytime and chat all things e-commerce and Amazon with us. So thanks so much for joining. I know it's late where you're at. So have a great night. And thanks again for coming on Crossover Commerce.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
No problem. And thank you everyone again for joining us live on Crossover Commerce. Again, this is episode 220 of this beautiful show called Crossover Commerce. This is my corner of the internet where I bring people like Nick of Accel Club who come on to this podcast and share just great knowledge and insights and what their kind of vision is for the future of Amazon e-commerce. Go ahead and check them out over at Accel.club. Put it in the comment section. You can obviously check that out on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. We make sure we link out to all of our ways that you can get in touch with Nick, obviously on LinkedIn or follow him. And then also go to Accel.club. I'm Ryan Cramer. This is Crossover Commerce. We'll catch you guys next week. We're done with this week for podcast episodes. So we'll catch you guys next week on another round of episodes here on Crossover Commerce. Take care, everyone.